Welcome back to the Halftime Report presented by Coca-Cola. We invite you to experience the Coke side of life. A very familiar face with us at halftime, Sherryta Freeman, the Athletic Director at Lafayette. And Sherryta, I wish so much we could start talking without having to talk about the pandemic. But it seems like that centers around all of our conversation. Spring sports are going to meld into the fall sports. That's all happening. How is the pandemic affecting all of that?
Well, Gary, I think you're right. I think we've gotten to a point where the pandemic becomes the topic of conversation. But we're getting ready to go. Our teams are back. They have been practicing, and they're going to be ready. Obviously, our primary focus is on their health and safety and making sure that they've been re-socialized and that their progressions are going to get them back up to speed and the appropriate coordination so that we are minimizing, the regular injuries of athletics, but paying attention to what we need to do from a COVID-19 standpoint. So I think what we're doing is fantastic. Our staff has been absolutely great, and we are on our way. I can't say we're ready today in every single sport, but we will be when it's time to compete.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the testing protocols that go into every week of allowing people to participate?
Yes, so we are certainly held to the minimum NCAA requirements from the NCAA Sports Science Institute in terms of the resocialization guidelines, which are great that they've been able to provide those for us. But we are one of those institutions that has even more measures in place to make sure that we are minimizing the spread of COVID-19 as much as possible. So depending on the sport, depending on what the risk level is, our students will be tested at least once a week per the protocols of the institution for all students. But then there are other additional tests that may occur depending on which sport it is. For example, in the sport of basketball, those student athletes are tested 3 times a week prior to competition.
I know I miss being at Kirby. I can't get there. I can't go there. What kind of things go into having a basketball game at Kirby from your standpoint to make everything safe?
Yes, so Andrew Foster, our Associate Athletic Director for Facilities and Operations, he's a one-man operation for sure, but he has been doing a fantastic job in terms of making sure that all the entrances are labeled and that, we're keeping our student athletes and our officials away from our stat crew because there can't be like this cross interaction between those groups. And so just, making sure that our facilities are up and running and ready to go. He's done a fantastic job at that. I would also like to give our communications staff a ton of credit as well, because the atmosphere in Kirby, although there are no fans there, I really, feel like the atmosphere that we're creating, and I put atmosphere in air quotes there because we're trying to create that for our student athletes. So we still turn off the lights for intros. We have our families doing the game introductions, which is great to be able to have a taste of our families in the arena. We've got artificial crowd noise and music playing. And so, if you're there and I'm able to be there, of course, to make sure that everything is running smoothly, you get the sense that, we're trying to do the best we can for our student athletes. And, the intensity is still there. Our student athletes are competitors. And so, they're getting up and down the court and they're just as much into it as you would possibly want to see. But it's definitely different. We miss our fans for sure, but for now, this is what we have to do. And we've got the fan cutouts so that we can, visually see the folks that are typically there for our games. And, we've done the best that we can under the circumstances.
I agree. I mean, I think it's still a lot of fun to watch a basketball game, and with all the noise and the PA system and everything, it does really feel like a little bit like the real thing. Sherryta, absolutely. We don't have a lot of time, so I thank you for spending a little time with us. And I tell everyone we'll be back with halftime numbers right after this timeout.
Thank you, Gary.